So I'll create a minimal setup required for Essbase cube creation.
Okay.
So I'll not go through like how I created this implementation project and all, because that is a part of like a one-day session, 5-hour session. So I'll not get into that. I'll directly start with enterprise structure. So yesterday I had shown one diagram where on top you have enterprise, under that you have legal entity, and
yes.
under that you have ledger. So after ledger creation, Essbase cube will be created. Okay. So some mandatory setups are required before we go to ledger creation. So first is legal address creation. Because when we create legal entity, legal address will be required.
Okay.
So we'll quickly create one legal address. Save and close. So now I'm creating a legal entity. So now I'm creating the legal entity. First I created legal address. If you want to hire employees under this legal entity, then these two checkboxes will need to be selected. I just entered the legal address which I had created earlier. EIN and TIN or TIN number. So it is like company registration number, enterprise registration number. So save and close. Now we will create the chart of account. Okay. Under chart of account, first you need to create value sets. What are the permissible values in each of those chart of account segments? Okay. So first, to make it very simple, I'll create just 3 segments in my chart of account: company, department, and account. Okay. So say MA1611 underscore company.
Probably you might need accounting period.
Sorry?
You might need an accounting period along with these segments, right?
Yes, yes. So it is one by one. So after chart of account creation, next step is calendar creation.
Okay, got it.
So first step is, and the task list is sequential. So you can follow that sequence. You will not miss any task. So here you will select that module as general ledger. So when you are integrating with some third-party system, this module will be referred. This validation type, how this value set will be developed? Is it independent? Like you will provide the individual values which all values are permissible, or you are referring to some other table which has those values. So I'll say independent. Validation type, what kind of data I will have in this segment. even if you want it numeric, only numeric, but make it character. The reason is like when you have too many values, performance will be impacted if you make it numeric, because first it has to validate that it is number, and second, when it tries to save the data into database, ultimately it will go into character field. So you should keep it as character. Even if you know that I will only have numeric values, but still keep it as character. Text. Maximum length, what is the length of this segment? So I'll have 3 character long segment for company. Minimum value, maximum value, uppercase only. So I'm giving like how that company segment will look like, how many characters it will have. If I'm entering something less than 3 character, it should be filled with 0. So left fill with 0 or uppercase only. So that I'm creating. And data security. So if you want like a particular company to be accessed by a particular role, so that kind of security also can be enabled. Okay. So now I need to create 3 segments: company, account, and department. So I'll create that second one.
Create values.
Department, I will have 2 segments. Well, 2 character long. And third segment I will have is account. And I will have 5 character long account code. So I have defined these 3 segments or 3 value sets. At this stage, I should not be entering the values against those segments, because if I do that, then there are some fields like what kind of account it is, or whether it is a parent account, child account. Those fields will not, system will not ask. So unless and until I attach these value sets to a chart of account, it will not ask for those value sets or those values, because it is a normal value set. It can be used anywhere. Now next step is to create that structure. So as I said, like a chart of account is a key flex field. So if you do a blind search, it will open that this is the accounting flex field, which for which I want to create a structure. So first step, manage structure, create new, MA1611, say structure, name, I will use that same name, description, delimiter. What is the delimiter in your chart of account? So normally I have seen like hyphen or dot. Click on save. So this create button will be. Now I am attaching those value sets to this structure. So my first code is company. That API name will come automatically if you wait for 1 second. This API name, again, it will be referred in integrations. When you are calling web services from other systems to refer to this field, what will be the name? So that is API name, company, sequence number, it is 1. Prompt, how it should be prompted, what should be the prompt for this? Short prompt. Say you have 12 or 14 segment chart of account. Now when you see this in account monitor, it will consume too much space if you have, say, account code as your segment, this prompt, then it will consume a lot of space. Instead of that, you can just have ACCP, or for company you might have COMP instead of calling it as company. We have seen that in account monitor for region it was showing RGN, or for project PRJ. So what is the short prompt? And especially it will be applicable in account monitor screen. Display width 3. Column name. So in which column it will be saved? So it will be segment 1, 2, 3. So first is segment 1. Default value set. So I will attach the value set which I just created. And as I mentioned yesterday, that for your chart of account, there are two segment labels mandatory, or two segments which are mandatory. One is your balancing segment and second one is your accounting segment. Without these two, you won't be able to complete the chart of account setup. So at company level, all my debits and credits should match. So I'll assign this primary balancing segment label. Okay. I'll associate that second segment, department. Sequence number 2, prompt department, and for this prompt I will have DEPT. Display width will be 2. Column name segment 2. So this column name is a database column name where it will be stored. And I won't associate any segment label to this, but I have an option like cost center segment I can associate, but it doesn't have any impact on it. Third is account. Sequence number 3. So first is company, second is department, third is account.
What is the difference, Mahesh, here is primary balancing segment and second balancing?
So in Fusion, you can have up to 3 balancing segments. Say for example, it's a hypothetical example. You have Apple as a company. Under that, you have 2 divisions. So in your chart of account, Apple is one company. Under that, you have iPhone and iPad. Okay, and you want to track balances, or all the journals should balance at that iPhone, iPad level also and Apple level also. So in this case, you will have 2 balancing segments. First at your product level, which is iPhone, iPad, and second at Apple level or at company level too.
Means what you're saying is the primary is at the product level and the second is at the company level? That's what you're referring to?
No. Primary will be your company and secondary will be your this product level. Product. What happens when you create any journal? Say I have enabled 2 segments. Say first company is Apple and iPhone, and account code is say 10,000. Okay. And say department is 000. I'm creating a journal. This is my debit and APP, and say iPad division paid something for this. Okay. say this journal I want to create. This account could be some loan is given by one company to another company or something, whatever. So now if you have primary balancing segment only, then it will not generate, and say this first segment is my primary balancing segment. First segment will not, so first segment is same in both the journals, both the lines. So in this case, no intercompany entries will be generated. But if you enable primary and secondary both, primary is mandatory. If you enable secondary as well on this second segment, then because second segment is not matching, so it will create additional lines, say iPhone, and some intercompany account, that is intercompany setup, say 9999, this account. So that at iPhone level, debit and credit should match. Similarly, at iPad level also, your debit and credit should match. If I just have primary segment at that first segment, on that company segment, intercompany entries will not be generated automatically, will not be generated. So that at each product level also, your debit and credit are matching. So that is the purpose of secondary segment. And then third segment, you have some other like country or something, and at that level also. But I have not seen anybody using this feature like second and third, because it will be very costly, because these two lines will be generated automatically. And if you have third also, and say all three segments are not matching, then it will end up creating 7, 8, 9 lines, and reconciling that will be very difficult.
Okay.
So I'm creating this third segment, which is account. And I'll assign this natural account segment to this segment label, to this third segment, account segment. So I have all three segments in my chart of account. Structure, so in Fusion, actually there are two levels. One is your structure and another is instance. Chart of account is structure and chart of account structure instance. Take an example of a global company, say US, which has operations in US and UK. US is headquarter, and they are recommending that we should be having 10 segment chart of account. All the subsidiaries in other countries should be using 10 segment chart of account. Okay. Now, when UK is implementing and they don't want to use a particular segment, or they want to have different values under a particular segment. It could be because of local requirement, local statutory requirement, or because of some business nature of the business. They want to use some different values, or they don't want to use a particular value. Or US, while designing their chart of account, they decided that one segment will be local use, so that UK can have their own values, India can have their own values, Germany can have their own values in that segment. So structure is deciding on total number of segments and what is your default value set associated with it. But at instance level, you can go and change that default value set. Okay. So here, like we will use that same those three value sets for our instance also, but you have an option to change that value set. Okay. So next step after creating that structure is manage structure instances. Create. And this is the name, or with this name Essbase cube will be created. So our Essbase cube name will be MS1611 underscore struct underscore instance. This will be the name of our cube. So cube is created at structure instance level. A structure is giving just the like definition of your structure, how many segments, what will be the length of each segment. Dynamic combination creation allowed. So when I'm entering any transaction, user should be able to select values from each segment, and that entire combination dynamically it can create. Or you want to restrict users to use specific combinations only. In that case, like you will have to predefine those combinations so that users can use. So this checkbox decides that. And when you enable, sorry, you can edit these and you can change that value set. This value set we had defined in structure level. Here I can go and change it. Okay. I'm making all three as required. Okay. Now, final step is to deploy this chart of
could you
account.
please go back a step back, please? There is some BI enabled checkbox. What is it? If you go to the edit, one of the yeah, 1610 struct. Yes, edit. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to see this segment in BI, that is OTBI, then you can check this checkbox, but it requires some configuration. Like in release 9.10 onwards, that configuration happens automatically by running a process. But earlier, you need to build that repository, you need to modify that repository. And that was possible only in on-premise. It was not possible on cloud. So BI, if you enable this, this segment will be going into OTBI also. Okay. And then you have this tree name. So once you create the hierarchies, then you can give that name here, that hierarchy name. But if you do it for one segment, then you have to do it for all the segments in that chart of account. Otherwise,
we can change the name of the dimension in the Essbase, that reflects in the Essbase. That's what?
No. Essbase dimension name will be the same. That hierarchy, account hierarchy, which I had shown.
Okay.
So if you give hierarchy name for one here, then you have to do it for all the segments. Without this also, that hierarchy will be published in Essbase cube. There is no issue. Okay.
How many meetings you attend for the same thing? Okay.
Next step is to deploy this flex field, so it will validate the setup which we have done. So it will ensure that we have provided two segments with one with balancing segment, primary balancing, and one with natural account. And it will perform some other validations like that hierarchy, whether it is assigned to all the segments or not. And it is at global level. So if say I'm creating this chart of account and somebody else is also creating a chart of account and his setup is not complete, then also it will fail. It's not that it is just compiling or deploying my chart of account. It is trying to deploy all the chart of accounts available in this instance. So many times, like during the session, GL training session, if there are 5-6 participants and creating their own chart of accounts, and it causes a lot of issues that one person has just defined balancing segment but not natural account yet. So you have to time it.
Once we deploy this, can we able to access the Essbase structures? Can we see the dimensions and not from the Smart View? Is there any way that we can go and see the Essbase cube?
No, not at this stage. Once we create and complete that chart of account definition, then only that cube will be created.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can go and add values because that those value sets are associated with the chart of account. So I'll create values, couple of values for all our chart of account which are required for the setup. So account, click on manage values, create. Summary account, whether it is a parent account or child account, so I'll create it as a parent account. Parent account, you cannot post the journal, you cannot do the budgeting at parent level. What is the type of account, whether it is asset, expense, liability, revenue? So I'll say cash account is an asset account, and there are other things which are related to like finance functionality. So I'll skip those. So I'll build that hierarchy. Under cash account, I'll have two accounts, cash and bank.
We can build this using the utilities as well, right, Mesh?
Sorry?
We can build this using the utility.
Yes, that can be done. But you need to download the template from Oracle's website and populate it and upload.
Where we can upload that? Which screen? Just importing.
Yeah, there's some.
Right?
There is a lengthy process for that.
Okay.
So I have three values and one mandatory value I will need for this, which is owner's equity account or retained earnings account. So I have provided some values, basic values for all three segments. Next step is we'll first create the ledger calendar.
Then calendar.
So here I'll create an accounting calendar, and it will be January to December, and 12 periods and one adjusting period. MA 1611. Adjusting period I will avoid. What is the starting date for your accounting period? So I'll start from say 2014, but in normal scenario, like if you have to keep the data for 7 years, then you will create this calendar 8 years from now. So depending on your requirement, you will have this. And what is the format of your period name? So you want to say 01-14, or you want Jan-14, so you can decide that. Next, it will automatically generate the calendar based on the option selected. So 1st January to 31st January, so this calendar will be created automatically. Save and close. Currencies, all ISO currencies will already be there. So normally we don't change anything unless and until you want to change rounding or some other option, then you will change say symbol or something. Otherwise you can your currency will be available. Exchange rates, if you are using foreign currency transactions and all, then you will be defining those exchange rates. Okay. Manage accounting configuration. So now we will create our ledger. So ledger, it requires those 4 C's. So I'm giving that structure instance, accounting calendar, which I had created. Say my currency is USD and accounting method is standard accrual. Okay, so I have given those 4 C's with minimal information. I'm creating the ledger. Let me change the scope. This scope is like whatever task you are performing, it will be for which particular ledger. So that you are deciding here. Say it will be for MA 1611 ledger. So now I need to add the legal entity which I had created, that first step after creating the legal address. So if I follow the naming convention that MA 1611, I'll know that what setup I have done. I need not to remember like what was the legal entity name or what was my chart of account segment name. With this naming convention, for at least for training in a real scenario, you will be using some meaningful names. But for training or like hands-on, you should be using this naming convention. Okay. Then ledger options. So what is the first open period? So you can specify or change here. Journal language. So wherever you have a star mark, that is mandatory. American English. Number of future enterable periods. So you can keep as per your business requirement. Normally, like what is this future enterable period? So you have not opened the next period, but you can still create the journals, but you won't be able to post it. So for how many future periods you want to keep those as future enterable. Retained earnings account, it is mandatory. So I created one retained earning account. Okay. And rest all are like if you want to enable approval or suspense posting, all those GL functionalities are there, but it will not impact our cube creation. Okay. After that, let's assign the balancing segment values to legal entities. So when you have this scenario where multiple legal entities are rolling into one ledger, in that case, you need to assign balancing segment values to legal entity so that you know that, okay, all these balancing segments belongs to this legal entity. In our case, it is non-mandatory, but let's define it. Okay. Okay. So we have done the bare minimum setup required for functional GL.